It sure would be easy to be sad, thought Penny Parker as she climbed out of the hot springs and got ready for her next patrol. She'd lost her parents. The world had been completely turned upside down because some guy named Doom had scrambled all of time, ruining the web of life and destiny, or whatever. And if that wasn't bad enough, she was in Tokyo and was set to miss every high school event in New York for the next forever. Seriously heavy stuff, but at least she would get to skip finals. She'd also had a lot of time to put her dad's SP driver mech through its paces and work in his old lab. It wasn't easy letting herself be bitten by a radioactive spider, but Penny would have done it 100 times over to be able to follow in her dad's footsteps. Now, she is linked to SP Driver, fighting bad guys and protecting not just Tokyo, but the entirety of time and space. Plus, there's this chronovium stuff everywhere. What even is that? She knew people were after it, but what did it do exactly? She'd run some experiments that suggested it was like crystallized time, but that didn't explain much. Next time Penny took SPDR in for maintenance and upgrades, she planned to spend a little more time figuring out exactly what chronovium could do. Life was a lot better when you focused on the positive. She needed to remind herself of that from time to time, because she spent a lot of her time fighting a whole slew of weirdos from other timelines that probably didn't even know they were threatening the collapse of all of time and space. Or were they? Those details weren't always clear to Penny, but she loved hearing the Master Weaver and his apprentice, Spider Zero, argue about it. And she knew that when push came to shove, as it often had since the time stream entanglement, she and SP4 Doctor would defend the web, even on mundane patrol missions like the one she was starting just now. That meant defending both the Master Weaver and Spider Zero, who were always so preoccupied with mending and weaving that they pretty much never noticed when they were about to be attacked. Like right now, a single Doombot angled toward the Nexus at the heart of the web of life and destiny. The Master Weaver never noticed it. Penny did, though, and she had a plan. SP4 Doctor, are you thinking what I'm thinking? SP4 Doctor was. Penny tensed, and SP4 Doctor leapt away from the web strand she'd been sitting on, falling toward the Doombot. She had to time this just right, or it would be a long fall to the ground somewhere in Shinjuku. Space Track might be able to handle the fall, but the shock of landing wouldn't do Penny any good. But her timing, as it turned out, was perfect. The Doombot noticed her far too late, just as she had shot her own webs out from Space Track's spinnerets and used the web strand to snap her around in a long arc. The Doombot barely turned around when Space Track slammed into it, feet first. Sparks shot from its chassis, and bits of armor plating stuck to nearby stands of the web as the Doombot tumbled away into the neon-speckled darkness below. Penny finished off the maneuver with a perfect, thruster-assisted double somersault that landed her on an upper strand of the web, close enough to the Nexus where she could see both the Master Weaver and Spider Zero. They were talking, and Penny didn't want to interrupt, so she hung upside down, just because, until Spider Zero headed out onto one of the web's strands, making little repairs as she went. Penny noticed Spider Zero removing stuck bits of Doombot armor on her way, and felt a little guilty. But hey, she'd done what a hero had to do. Protect the web. Still, did either Doom, ever run out of those things? I suspect not, a familiar voice said by her side, and Penny jumped. It was the Master Weaver. Hey, Penny said, did you just read my mind? Not exactly. I sensed certain vibrations in the web, and they suggested to me what you were thinking. Right, Penny said. Same diff. Hey, I've been meaning to ask you. I've been doing some experiments in my dad's lab. My lab now. And chronovium. Wow, what is that stuff anyway? Here, it has become part of the web, the Master Weaver replied. But all things are ultimately part of the web. Which was a super Master Weaver-like thing to say, but didn't really bring a lot of clarity to the situation. Before Penny could rephrase the question, the Master Weaver had passed on to another part of the web. She decided to take the same question to Spider Zero. Also, she wanted to know if anybody knew when Doom was going to attack the web himself. That seemed like a near certainty, since there were just about always Doombots around, but nobody ever wanted to talk about it. Penny didn't know whether that was because they didn't know, or didn't want to tell her because she was a kid, or some other stupid reason, but she felt pretty strongly that Doom attacking the web was a logical next step for him. Either of them. They had to be ready. As she approached Spider Zero, Penny was baffled to see the Weaver's apprentice doing something with paper. At this distance, it was hard to tell. She vaulted over onto another strand, then another, zigzagging until she got close enough to Spider Zero that she could see Spider Zero dropping little pieces of chronovium into some of the portals that existed around the Nexus. The chronovium in the web was kind of sticky, and it looked like Spider Zero was, she was writing something on pieces of paper, and then sticking those pieces of paper to chronovium. Hey, Penny called when she was close enough. What are you writing? A message to another version of myself, Spider Zero said. How do you know where to find other versions of yourself? That's part of what the Master Weaver is teaching me, Spider Zero said. I can listen in on an infinite number of other worlds and futures. Sometimes I can even... She made a conducting motion with both hands. Influence them a little. So you could do something about Doom? Or the time stream entanglement? Penny's thoughts drifted to maybe even saving her father, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. Was it even possible? And if he came back, would Penny just be a regular person again? It would be worth it. Spider Zero was watching her, as if she could see the emotional tug-of-war going on inside Penny's mind. Well, possibly. But that is, if you'll forgive the expression, a very tangled web. Tugging on one strand will have all kinds of unpredictable effects. I wouldn't take any action until I've had more time to trace the path of each strand. How much time? Dunno. More than we've got with so much happening. Okay, so anyway, there are more Doombots climbing the web to get you and the Master Weaver. Penny had just spotted them, jetting upward from the ground. Spider Zero looked down. Uh-huh, she said. She scribbled something on a piece of paper and stuck it to a bit of chronovium. Then she pushed that through a tiny portal that opened briefly, like a soap bubble, by her hand. The minute she pushed the message through, the portal was gone. A split second after that, all three Doombots were gone too, swallowed up by a larger version of that portal that appeared around them and then blinked out of existence. Whoa, Penny said. That's definitely cooler than what I did. Oh, it's not a competition, Spider Zero said. We all protect the web in our own ways. Speaking of that, Penny said, you guys know that sooner or later, Doom is going to get sick of sending Doombots, and when he does, he'll show up to finish the job himself. Wouldn't surprise me, Spider Zero said. So should we, maybe be doing something about it? What makes you think we aren't? Penny groaned. You sound more and more like the Weaver every day. Spider Zero smiled. He's teaching me a lot. You too, I think. You've grown a lot since you started protecting the web. This had Penny feeling pretty good about herself until she looked up and saw Spider Zero right there next to her. I have to repair that, Spider Zero said, pointing at the dangling strands of the web Penny had accidentally snapped while fighting the Doombot. I had to, Penny protested. I know, Spider Zero said. I'm not angry. I just have to repair the web. That's what I do. That's who I am. And without the web... It was Penny's turn to say, I know. After the time stream entanglement, the web was more important than ever. It wasn't just the dooms they had to worry about, but any other dimension-hopping villain or creature might appear at any moment to destroy the web or the Weaver. Or they might try to destroy Tokyo, or Japan, or the world, or all worlds. But none of that was going to happen while Penny Parker was on patrol. That should be a banner, she thought. Penny Parker on patrol. How cool would it be to have her own banner that followed her around? And maybe her own sound effects. A synthesized soundtrack. Even better, she started composing the tune in her head as Space D leapt and climbed among the endless strands of the web. Soon enough, she had Spider Zero back where she belonged. She looked down on the city, then up at the vastness of the web and the universes beyond it. I wish my father could have seen this. My father is also dead, Spider Zero said, pausing for a moment in her work. But I think he would be proud of the work I do. Same for you. Well, that gave Penny a little twinkle in her heart. This hero business wasn't just about the fights. It could make you feel good sometimes, too.